This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
We are back with another episode of Inside the Locker Room on HBCU Central. And today we have another special guest, Johnson C. Smith, wide receiver, Elijah Wilson. How are you doing today?
Good. How about yourself?
Actually, I know I got that intro wrong. That is on me. Michael, do you want to correct it?
No, you good, bro. You good, man. It's all good, bro.
You good?
It's all good. That is on me. That is on me. But thank you for taking time out of your day, to come on our show. You explained to us, before how you've been seeing our clips around, and that's what me and Michael are trying to do. Is get the message across about HBCUs, and players like you coming on to speak about HBCUs. It means a lot, and it means a lot coming from me, and it means a lot to these HBCUs because it shows that players are speaking out about it. Michael.
Yeah, and for sure, like dudes were just saying, the main reason for HBCU Central is to spread the message that HBCUs are, they're not being talked about as much. And me and Deuce, when we started this, I told Deuce, I was like, Deuce, no one is really talking about HBCUs, and HBCUs are kind of being left out, and players are being left out. So I told Deuce, like, we need to get HBCUs back up and jumping, like it used to be. And that's the reason why we made this, to spread the message and let people know that, HBCUs are here and they are here to stay. And it's a lot of sports broadcasting channels that they don't really talk about HBCUs and the history until it's time for tournament play, and HBCUs are being left out, and it's not fair for schools like John C. Smith, who is a historical university, and I know you can agree with me on that. So that's the reason why we are here, to spread the message and to help every single HBCU, not to hurt, not to talk down, not to downgrade in HBCU. That's not what we're about. We're here to uplift every single community that we can reach, because we're all in this together, and we need to help each other understand that HBCUs are just as good as these other schools. You know what I'm saying, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir.
But to get all this started, man, I got 4 questions for you, Deuce. I don't know how many questions you have, but to get this up and jumping, man, my first question for you is your tactical versatility. This first chapter, is called Knowledgeable Defensive Questions, and this question is, like I said, is called tactical versatility. Mr. Wilson, you have a size of 6 foot, 188 pounds. From the research that I got, you might, your pounds that might have jumped up a little bit since the off season, but from what I got, you're 6 foot, 188 pounds. If I'm incorrect on that, I do apologize, my man. But to play both physical man press and disciplined zone, which coverage scheme do you feel best showcases your ability to track the ball and disrupt receivers?
I feel like zone, because really all my picks this year was in zone. So, in zone, like I can really read the quarterback and then look at the receiver too, and then see like where the quarterback's going, because that's really what I was trying to do this year. You know what I'm saying? Read the quarterback's eyes, look and see where he's going, and then break on the ball, make a play. So that's really, so I would say zone is really the most one.
Basically, like ball hawk, troll follow, Molly type
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
Go ahead, dude.
Yeah, so I just want to follow up with like this question, because we speak about players choosing HBCUs all the time,
Yes,
and
sir.
what was going into your thought process when you chose Johnson C. Smith, because this is an historical HBCU, despite what level it is on in the playing field, D1, D2, NI, all that, HBCUs are HBCUs, and when you can get a player to commit to HBCUs, that means a lot for the HBCUs. And somebody with your talent, it shows that they got a real star in them. So, what just went through your mindset with choosing Johnson C. Smith?
Smith, I chose because I seen the history they had. Like they have a winning culture, and I wanted to be a part of that. They uh, have discipline. Teamwork and all that stuff. It was really a no brainer for me that I was gonna go here. So, cause I came to Smith out of the portal, and I had came from my previous school was Shaw, but another HBCU. So it was a no brainer for me because I Smith had their history and their coaches and everything here is just it's just good and great.
That there's a term that a lot of HBCU guests have used. As a matter of fact, our last guest, she basically broke it down with very knowledgeable information that HBCUs are a foundation.
Hmm.
It's a foundation at every single HBCU, and like you just said, HBCUs, especially like John C. Smith, it's a history thing. And I think what a lot of people get mixed up, and I say this all the time, that people outside the HBCU world, when they look at HBCUs, they look at it as just a regular school. HBCUs, like, oh, it's a historical black college. You don't really think about all that, but honestly, it's when you're attending at HBCU, you're not just attending a college. You're attending the family tree. You're like you, for example, you attended John C. Smith. You just didn't attend. You became part of the family legacy of how it all started,
Yep.
and it's that's the difference between joining the HBCU and joining any kind of college. Is that when you come to an HBCU, you're joining, like I say, you're joining the foundation, and there's always history at a foundation, right? And especially for schools like John C. Smith, that's a historical university, like Deuce just said, without the benefit of the doubt. But that kind of leads into my next question, or what Deuce asked you. This chapter is called HBCU Lifeline. These questions, Mr. Wilson, taps into the culture and the significance of playing at a historical black college. So this question is called the HBCU pipeline, man. With the rise of events like the HBCU Legacy Bowl, how do you feel the platform for HBCU defensive backs has developed since you first stepped onto campus?
I think it's developed very well because like DB, like it's always been like a position that like everybody wants to play, you know, and that's like it's just good for like people that wants to play the position, because DB it's really the hardest. Besides quarterback, DB is hardest on the field. So
Right,
you plan into your back pedal where the receivers are going forward and the running backs coming at you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to
right.
break downhill. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's DB is it's a fun position. It's a hard position too, but you just have to really tap in with that mental that you really know you can be the best and that you want to do it.
Absolutely.
And while we're on the topic of Johnson Smith, really what I want to talk about is inside the locker room, you need a strong coach and a strong culture, to keep that winning success. Just can you explain and describe the culture that just goes on in the locker room, off the field?
Oh yes, our coaches they did a good job, especially like Coach Flowers, our head coach. He preaches like discipline, teamwork, being together, standing together. You know what I'm saying? So because he's really getting us prepared for the real world and stuff like that. So, but yeah, they take care of us, and then they look out for us and all that. So yeah, the coaches are really good here.
Yeah, and it's kind of like there's this saying that I heard a lot over the years of me growing up, is that when you have a good coaching staff, that can teach the game from their time all the way to this modern time. It's kind of like, you know, you can't teach something if you don't know how to do it yourself. And I think, you know, that's the very important thing about having a good coaching staff is that, you know, you don't want to just attend a school right by just attending. You want to go to the right program that has the right coaches that can help you develop into becoming an NFL prospect. You know, because that's the thing that a lot of HBCUs don't get. They don't get a lot of NFL analytics. They don't get a lot of uh, coaches coming to these HBCUs. You don't get a lot of that. So that's also another reason why we do what we do is we try to reach out to the NFL basketball world is that the HBCUs like John C. Smith, they have talent,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to take the time to go to these universities, take the time, get to know the players because you know you see a lot of NFL coaches and owners and all this and that. You see them go to LSU, you see them go to Tulane, you see them go to their pro days. But
Yes,
what
sir.
you don't see is you don't see NFL coaches going to HBCUs like I'm talking about the campus. I'm not talking about just going to the pro days. I'm talking about actually going to the HBCUs and getting to know the players, seeing how it is on this side of the HBCU world. So that is also another good reason why players like you, as talented as you are, because if I remember correctly, the NFL, I believe from what I remember that you were an NFL prospect or NFL, something like that at some point. So what this also means, Mr. Wilson, is that players like you deserve a chance. And it's not fair for people like me and Deuce. We preach this all the time. Is that what the NFL world is slacking at is looking at HBCU talent.
Yes,
They
sir.
look at HBCU talent as just oh, they're not NFL draft pick worthy. So why should we waste our time doing that? But what people have to understand is that back then, greats like Jerry Rice, greats like Doug Williams, greats like Walter Payton, those guys started the foundation for HBCUs, and they became greats at these HBCUs. So what I'm trying to say here is that the HBCU legacy should not die, regardless of the generation, regardless of the time. The NFL lookout as far as HBCUs needs to continue. But now HBCU players are being undrafted or they're just looked at as being tryouts, but they're not being looked at as draft picks. And I just don't think that's fair because there's a lot of talent. You know that. You are talent yourself.
Yeah.
So it's just more like, are these NFL scouts really looking at HBCUs, or are they just there just to be there, just to make themselves well known, and it's not considered? Oh, I'm doing this for the HBCU community. Let's see what these HBCU players got because they have something, and I want to invest in it. That is the whole purpose here. You know what makes sense? What I'm saying, bro?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I completely. Yep. Yes, sir.
And see that, so that kind of transitions to my next question. I do apologize for rambling about that, but
You good. You good. You
I try
good.
to preach that at a high level. I try to lock in on that because that's not being talked about enough. And the NIL has killed HBCUs, and it's not fair because back then NIL wasn't even considered a thing, but now the NIL has made these Power Four, Power Five schools making players from HBCU's transfer to get better media attention. But why should they have to do that when they can stay at John C. Smith, get the media attention, and get the draft stock? You feel what I'm saying? Like it's a decline right there.
Yes, sir.
Um, but that also leads me into my next question. And like I said, I do apologize for the people that's watching. I do apologize for rambling off and getting off topic right there. But this is called the community connection. Mr. Wilson, John C. Smith State University is a pillar of the Charlotte community. How does playing at an HBCU in a major city influence your sense of responsibility as a student athlete, both on and off the field?
I'll say, well, this is really one like first one I got to college, but I say I became like a better man, you know. This like seeing stuff in the real world, like you got to take care of your business and stuff, like getting up early and going to practice. Make sure you eating before you go to class, and then getting to your meetings and stuff and classes, and then going to bed on the right time. But I say it's prepared me well though, because I really see what you need to do in order to get where you need to go in life.
Agree, agree. And that's life is about growth. And how you trigger it in your mind is how you develop in the inside world. Maturity is everything. Knowledge is power, as little baby basically stated in a verse that he said. Knowledge is power,
Mhm,
and how you build upon that knowledge builds your character. Character is everything as well.
mhm.
Character is what gets you far in life, and my grandfather he used to always say that in order for you to be successful in life, you gotta understand what your character is, and that's a mental thing. That's a mental thing that you have to figure out in your mind. What am I mentally? What is my character? What is my purpose? And that's a question that we all have to ask. I ask God all the time, what is my purpose? What am I doing this for? Am I doing this for a good reason? That's what you have to ask yourself. And I'm actually glad you touched base on that because we're all looking to be better in life, but we're all looking to be better in our own different time and pace. So I'm actually glad you touched base on that because that's a really good thought.
Yes.
So
Deuce, what
the one question I always, well, this is actually my final question, but the one question I always ask our HBCU athletes is because since a lot of people don't get a look into the culture of that HBCU, and John C. Smith is in Charlotte, so it's in a big city. Just can you describe the culture of your HBCU because each HBCU all stands out from the other one.
Hmm. Uh, I said the culture here is, it's like you said. I said earlier, it's historic. It's just like you drive past Charlotte, you just know John C. You're going to drive past John C. Smith, the historic college. Some may know like the historic behind it, and some may don't. But it's because like we were like was like the first black college, to really play football and like back then. So it's just being great, uh, being a part of like a historic black college like John C. Smith.
absolutely, absolutely, and that kind of jumps into my next question. It's called NFL aspirations, but the chapter is called career and future questions. Um, so this question basically asks, and I wrote this down. Mr. Smith, you've seen former teammates like Emmanuel Wilson make the jump to the NFL. What have you learned from their journey that you are applying to your own draft preparation?
I would say, well, first I want to congratulate E-Man because he did get the college out of Johnson, and then went to Fort Valley, and now he got signed a big deal with the Seahawks. So I would like to congratulate him on that. But I'll say me just like just staying focused, getting where I want, just keep my head on straight, just keep working, then this trusting God and through the process and all.
For sure, for sure. When you trust in God, He gives you uh He opens doors for you.
Yes.
Let me put it like that. Um, you know, when God has plans for you, nobody can stand against it, right? And I think that's the most important part that we all have to understand, that there is no bigger power than God Himself. And God is the reason why I do what I do. God's the reason why Deuce does what he does, and God's the reason why Mr. Wilson does what he does. Because we all have a purpose in this life. We just have to figure out what that purpose is. And I think that's what really, really matters the most here, is understanding what your purpose is in this life. Whether it's attending an HBCU or anything like that in particular, you have to ask God this. I ask God this every day, dudes. What is my purpose? What is my future? Is it good? Is it bad? But then I think about this too. It doesn't matter. What God has for you is for you. You just have to be patient, and that's just what that is.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And me, I don't have any more questions. Michael, did you have an additional question to ask? Because Mr. Wilson pretty much wrapped it up about the culture. The culture, many may not know about Johnson C. Smith's history, and that's why it's important to learn about your HBCU histories, because that is important history right there. And if you don't know that, that really is kind of the foundation for HBCU football right there. It really is kind of the foundation for HBCU football. And Michael, that's what we were talking about last week, the foundation, were we not?
The foundation. That is the purpose of HBC. That is the purpose of John C. Smith. It's the foundation. Once you understand the foundation, what do we mean by foundation? The history, how it started. Like I said, dudes, I say this all the time. Our ancestors went to HBCUs when they couldn't go to the all white schools or the Power Four, Power Five schools, whatever you want to call it. They set the record for us. And that's the reason why HBCUs are what they are today. They are a huge part of our lives. They're a huge part of the next generation because of the fact that John C. Smith is a foundation, it's a landmark of Charlotte. You can go to Charlotte University, you can go to any other school in Charlotte, North Carolina, but all those schools is nothing like John C. Smith. It's a legacy. It's a legacy there. And like Mr. Wilson just said, it's the history. Once you understand the history of a HBCU, you just lock in because you're being part of the family tree. And there's nothing more greater than being part of a history that made you want to continue to go to HBCU. But Mr. Wilson, I'm gonna leave you alone after this, bro. Because like I said, I know
You
we said
good?
15 minutes, but I feel like we done jumped the gun a little bit here, bro. And I apologize for that. That's my
You good?
fault. But this last question, man, it's kind of like what we've been asking you, and I do apologize if it's the same old question. But this is called the legacy at John C. Smith University. When your time as a Golden Bull is over, what do you want the next generation of defensive backs to say about Elijah Wilson era of the John C. Smith University defense?
Michael, I think you may have to repeat that question if you.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you. I had to go out and go in. Can you
Oh,
repeat
you
that?
good, you good. But yeah, the question was called the legacy at John C. Smith University.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Wilson, your time as a Golden Bull. Wait, no, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. When your time as a Golden Bull is over, what do you want the next generation of defensive back to say about the Elijah Wilson era of the John C. Smith University defense?
I just want to say like I played the game right. I just went out there. Just play with no fear. Just trying to leave a mark for the next people that's coming in. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just leave like what Johnson C. Smith is well known for. You know what I'm saying? Like, just leave leave history out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everyone, this is Mr. Elijah Wilson from the John C. Smith University. a historical HBCU, one of the most historical HBCUs in the HBCU community. Mr. Wilson, we appreciate you so much, my brother, for taking the time to come up on here. We appreciate you for not only supporting what we're doing, but liking what we're doing. Like I said, we might not be the biggest sports talk show, but we don't really care about the size. We don't care
Yeah,
about the viewership.
yeah,
We want to spread the message. We want to help every single HBCU community as possible. And your presence coming up on here and bringing John C. Smith with you helps us spread the message. And like I said, it's not just really the cover. It's not really just following you, bringing you on. We're not doing this to just bring you on. We're doing this to based off your knowledge, your experience, and spread to the world that why John C. Smith is an historical black college and why should you join John C. Smith. That's why we bring players like you, coaches, and all that in particular. That's why we bring people on to help spread the message that HBCUs is. It's kind of like what my shirt says here. HBCUs is legit. It's legit. It's a history. But like I said, man, we appreciate you so much, my brother, for coming up on here
oh,
and
yeah.
appreciating and accepting what we're doing. Um, and we'll definitely have you come back on here again. We hope that you want to come back on here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I will be back on here. Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
But with that, all that being said, bro, I don't think I have anything else. I feel like I've been talking way too much. Deuce, you want to take over, bro?
Nah, I pretty much said it. Thank you for taking time, to come out
Right.
on our show. When you do come back next time, bring a teammate.
Okay.
It always helps spread the word. And we've had a few teammates on here before, so it's possible. But like we said, thank you for taking time out of your day and joining. And you have a very blessed evening.
You
Great to
too. You too. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
So, Michael, next on our topic, we've been talking about all, off season for basketball, football, that what was going to happen to, our players and coaches. And Michael, I sent you a post earlier that three coaches have went to the Power Four and G5 level to become assistant
Right.
coaches. We've also seen top name players, go to the portal, like Deshaun Ruffin. He just hit the portal, I believe, today or yesterday.
Right.
So it's nothing, and I told you this before, Michael. It's nothing wrong because sometimes these players, they're trying to get their name out there, and they just can't get that on the HBCU spotlight.
Right.
Yes, and then I told you, like some coaches, the pay is just bigger than what the HBCU salary can offer. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having, you can always see it from two sides. You see it from the good side, but then you have to look at it from the HBCU side and how it affects the HBCUs once you leave. And Michael,
Mhm.
this is where I pass the mic off to you.
Yeah, dudes. First and foremost, let me say this real quick. I am truly, truly supportive of any coach that goes to a Power Four or Power Five school. I am not against that. Um, I'm all for it. I want what's best for these coaches. I want what's best for these players. And the reason why I keep saying that they should stay at an HBCU is because of the fact that one thing that you don't want to see is these powerful Power Five schools bringing these players, bringing these coaches on the coaching staff on their roster for better, just for money purposes. And I'm not saying that you have a problem with players and coaches coming out to get better money. No, 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 no. I am truly in supportive of that. I'm truly in supportive of any brother and sister that is seeking more. And if God sees that you need to go to these powerful power schools, I'm all for it. The reason why I preach what I say, Deuce, is that HBCUs, they're starting the competitive level. Let me put it like that. The competitive level is starting to skyrocket at a high level. And the only reason why it is the way it is because of the coaches that are setting the record straight, that are setting the winning foundation at these HBCUs. And it's only going to help players more and more. It's going to help the university more and more the athleticism that are at these HBCUs, and hopefully at some point it'll lead to more media attention. It'll lead to more NBA, women's NBA prospects. Stuff like that. That's why I say these things. But there's nothing wrong with seeking to get better money. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I don't want happening is these powerful Power Five schools brainwashing us into thinking that, oh, let's add the money into it, and I'm pretty sure they agree to the amount that we're giving them. Because some of these Power Five schools, they like to bring money into the conversation because they know that's what we're gonna see. We're gonna see more money, and that's why they want us to come to their university, come to their coaching staff, come to their basketball roster to get better NIL money and get better recruiting and possibly better winning chances. There's nothing wrong with that. But I honestly think that once you set a foundation of winning at a HBCU, I don't think that it's fair to leave all that you've built and go to a bigger school to get better money, but you know you can't reteach something. No, let me put it this way. Because that made completely no sense. Going to a Power Five, Power Four school, there's nothing wrong with that. But dudes, what I'm saying is that I don't want these Power Four, Power Five schools grabbing these coaches, grabbing these players, and looking at the HBCUs as a development league. What I mean by that is that the HBCUs is a prospect level for coaches and players. Let's go grab these coaches. Let's go grab these players and bring them to our university to help our program out. And then they go to these powerful Power Five schools and they get used, or they don't even get used at all. Because, like I said before, these powerful Power Five schools, they will brainwash people into more money. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but money doesn't buy you happiness. That's what I'm saying here. I'd rather stay at HBCU where I'm getting the right education, regardless of the NIL money. At least I'm getting some. Because you never want to be greedy for money. That's not okay. Because what they're saying in God's eyes is that not only are you not okay with the university that you're at, but you're seeking more money than education. And that's not what HBCU should be looked at. These coaches need to stay at these HBCUs because you want to see HBCUs basketball level, football level skyrocket. You want to see HBCUs grow in the athletic world to be more recognized.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this though. The one thing that I will say that the NFL has done better at is actually, showing that these players, I'm saying NFL and NBA, showing that these players have came from HBCUs, like really showing like where they start, where their roots have came from. Look, I'm gonna
Right.
say this. It's panned out before. Shador, Travis Hunter, it's nothing wrong with it. Our point
Yeah.
is, I think that we are trying to make is that, if you're going to take our players and our coaches, at the end of the day, you still got to recognize where they started, where the foundation began, and
Right.
this was at HBCU. And
That
like, I have no issue. I really don't have no issue. Like Mr. McCormick, who is here and who goes to Colorado right now. He is currently a Colorado kicker. He came from Grambling. He's transferred before. But at least as long as you recognize Grambling, in that name, that's all that that matters. Because you can't try to, I kind of get mad when sometimes a player transfers and they don't get recognized where they started from.
exactly. That is the whole point I'm making here. Is that these powerful Power Five schools, they don't understand that these players, they started something at this HBCU. So when you grab them, and then you say, we want you to play for us. We want you to attend this university and play for us. But then when they get there, dudes, they don't even use them. Or if they don't use them, they sit on the bench and, I kind of had got to him. Well, I didn't get it to it, but my father was basically saying that I'd rather have my child go to a university and sit on the bench and get more money. I'm like, what is the purpose of that? No player in their right mind wants to bench ride all day long, and because they're getting better NIL money. That is a waste of time, and that is a waste of life. I'd rather go to a school where I'm played more despite of the NIL money. At least I'm getting some, but at least I'm playing dudes and I'm doing something that I love, and that at some point, God forbid, that the NFL will recognizes my talent at this HBCU. Because Andrew Byer, for example, one of the top HBCU players in football right now.
Mm-hmm.
He was a huge inspiration at Alabama State. Transferred. He went to the transfer portal. There were many big schools looking at him. What happened, dudes? He ended up changing his mind and he went back to Alabama State because he realized that these schools, regardless of the NIL money, they're not going to play me. Or if they will play me, they want to change my position. They want to change what I started. They want to change my position on a position that I'm really good at. I could be a good wide receiver and I go to this school, I go to LSU. We want you to play defensive back. I don't know how to play defensive back. I don't want to play defensive back. Dudes, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with transferring, but if you're going to transfer somewhere, make sure that they're treating you right. Then make sure that they are not lying to your face. That's exactly what I'm saying here. These Power 4, Power 5 schools, they will lie to these coaches and players' faces, claiming that they want them to be a part of their university, part of their roster and coaching staff, and if they barely get respected, they barely get used on the bench. No one wants to go to a school and not even be looked at. That is a waste of time and a waste of life. I'd rather stay at HBCU where I'm constantly being looked at as a huge talent, and then my coaching knowledge is being used to the right success. It's best to be respected than not respected. My mom always told me people will lie to your face if you let them. And that's exactly what will happen. These powerful Power 5 schools, they claim that they want you there. Okay, fine. They want you there, they want you there. But how do you know that they actually want you there? And then when you get there, they act like they all excited to have you, but they don't even use you. Dude, sometimes God shows you things. You just have to take time to understand and watch. Sometimes it's best to just sit back and watch things develop to your face. Sometimes God has to reveal to us what's really going on. We just have to have the common sense to understand and listen. Like I said, I'm not against these coaches going to these powerful Power 5 schools. But what I don't want these powerful Power 5 schools to do is use our brothers and sisters to help them more than help us. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed. But jumping on to our next topic, UAPB Pro Bowler and Saints Teron Armstead, which I know, Michael, you do know about because he did play for y'all. He
Right.
actually is appointed as the first athletics ambassador. Did you get the notes on that?
I did. Did you want me to break that down right quick?
Yes.
Okay.
I figured we can just
So
that, and then we Alabama A&M quarterback room situation.
yeah, and if we have time, I wanted to break down that coaching situation. I kind of got off topic, but if we have,
You want to break that? We can break
what's
that.
that?
We can break that down next. Actually, if you want. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
break that down next if you want.
cool. All right, so all right, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. So Teron Armstead, first of all, shout out to him. I love that man. He was a huge asset to our Saints offensive line. He protected Drew a whole lot. Probably one of the most athletic offensive linemen that I depended on throughout my time as a Saints fan, and him being on the Saints. But dude, Teron Armstead, he's well known. He's a five-time Pro Bowler, offensive tackle, and a former standout at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, which is
Shout out.
UAPB.
Shout out.
Uh, Dude, he was officially named the program's first ever Golden Lions Athletics Ambassador on March 30th, 2026. Now, for the people that don't know, what is the ambassador role? I'm glad you asked. In the historic position, Mr. Armstead will serve as a bridge between the university's legacy and its future. His responsibilities do include, here it is, student athlete engagement. What that means is he'll be monitoring current Golden Lions and inspiring them through his journey from an HBCU to the NFL. Number two, alumni connection, right? Serving as a primary link to reconnect former athletes and alumni with the athletic department. Number three, recruitment and branding. Okay, Deuce acting as the face. I put that in parentheses. The face of UAPB athletics to bolster, recruiting efforts and evaluate the program's national profile. Number four, last thing, Deuce, ini- initiative support. Supporting key projects, Deuce, and fundraising efforts aimed at improving athletic facilities and resources. That's basically what the initiative support will do. He will be supporting key projects and fundraising efforts aimed at improving the UAPB athletic facilities. Now, that is the ambassador role. Deuce, let me tell you Terrence Armstead legacy for the people that don't know. Mr. Armstead, Mr. Armstead's anointment follows his recent retirement from a distinguished 12-year NFL career. HBCU legend, Deuce. At UAPB, Deuce, he was a two-star. He was a two-sport star, winning SWAC championships in both football and track and field. Shot put. That's what he was doing in the track and field, Deuce. He was a shot put. NFL success. After being drafted in the third round in the 2013 NFL draft by the New Orleans Saints, which at the time, Deuce, I was like, I'm gonna be honest, like, okay, I can see us building the offensive line room. At the time, Deuce, I didn't really think about Terrell Armstead. I really didn't. I'm gonna be completely real here. I did not think about Terrell Armstead like that. I was happy, that we, drafted a guy at a HBCU. I was, but in my honest truth, I didn't even really know anything about Terrell Armstead. I didn't even know why we drafted him. I'm gonna be honest with you. But when I got to know him over time, dudes, I completely loved the guy because he developed into an all-time great, one of all-time great Saints offensive linemen. But dudes, in 2013, we drafted him. He became one of the league's elite left tackles, without a doubt, earning 5 Pro Bowl selections and All-Pro honors. Dudes, his community impact, though, when he was with the Saints, he was the 2019 Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee and remains heavily involved in the Philippine Trophy through his Teron Armstead Foundation. He's well involved, dude. He's a community person. He's an inspiration to little kids today. He's an inspiration to me because when I think about Teron Armstead, he's a Hall of Famer already in my eyes. He is already an HBCU legend. This is kind of what I'm trying to say here, dude. He came out of an HBCU. He didn't transfer. He didn't go to a Power 4, Power 5 school. He went to UAPB and was drafted by the Saints by us in 2013. This is kind of what I'm saying here. Dude, he became a legend in the NFL and the HBCU world. This is what I'm trying to get the NFL to understand. Draft these HBCU players. Take the time to look at these HBCU players. I mean, actually look. Actually look at them. Don't just be there just to be there. Actually look at them. Because it's guys like Teron Armstead that you cannot sleep on in the HBCU. These HBCU players has just as elite talent as these powerful Power 5 schools are. Every player is talented at every level, right? But when you take a chance on people like Teron Armstead, you will not make a mistake. Because Mickey Loomis saw something in Teron Armstead that I didn't see. But over time, I saw something in Teron Armstead, and he became something that no one in the 2013 NFL draft expected Teron Armstead to be. And that's an HBCU legend at University of UAPB. So shout out to Mr. Teron Armstead and shout out to UAPB because he became a huge asset to the New Orleans community. But he also proved my point on why HBCU players deserve more opportunity in the NFL draft, just like these Power 4, Power 5 players do. But Deuce, jumping into we're gonna kind of jump back into that coaching situation. I wanted